Well, it is our leading story. Former President Jacob Zuma is now a free man. This after his report back to Estcourt Correctional Facility that lasted less than 2 hours coincided with a special remission program for low-risk offenders. Zuma was released as part of the program aimed at alleviating overcrowding in prisons, which will benefit over 9,000 non-violent offenders, as approved by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Just over 3,000 foreign nationals serving short-term sentences will be deported. SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga filed this report.
Former President Jacob Zuma returned to prison during the early hours of Friday morning, only to be released in less than 2 hours.
A decision was taken that former President Zuma should come into the Estcourt Correctional Facility. He did arrive this morning at 6 o'clock. He was admitted into the system. Upon admission into the system, he was subjected to administrative process, including the remission process that is already approved for all other offenders that qualify to be administratively processed under the remission process.
Correctional Services made the decision on former president's incarceration following the Constitutional Court's dismissal of the department's bid to appeal the SCA judgment, which found Zuma's release on medical parole to be unlawful. Zuma was released on remission as part of a program which will benefit over 9,000 non-violent offenders, as approved by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Justice Minister says the program was taken in accordance with the law.
We have on a parallel program have a challenge of overcrowding in the facilities, which we have to attend to as a matter of urgency because of what I have said has been accelerated by the loss of bed space. As we speak now, it's an active situation at Kutamas in Tumuli. So that is what we are dealing with at this current juncture. Whether the decision will withstand legal scrutiny, yes, we believe it will.
The Democratic Alliance was one of the interested parties who made representations that Zuma should spend some time in prison. The party's Glynis Breitenbach says this is a manipulation of the criminal justice system.
A sly, devious manipulation of the criminal justice process to allow one man to walk out of prison and inflict then upon the South African citizens 9,500 plus convicted criminals who are going to walk out regardless of time served.
The former president is said to be back at his home in Kandla, KwaZulu-Natal. Canny Maphanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
Well, there's been a mixed reaction from political parties about the former president's release.
We as the ANC, whilst we note and welcome the process that's been followed thus far, for us, it basically speaks to the fact that we all know, South Africans do know that this country actually enjoys a very robust judicial and law enforcement system and architecture. And we're comfortable in that due process of the law has been followed. We have no reason to doubt that. We welcome the remission decision. We also note the fact that the former president, Jacob Zuma, did get processed accordingly as required at the relevant correctional facility. There is no doubt in our minds that the due processes of the law have taken root, and we do welcome that.
What does this mean, and what example does this create for the hundreds of ANC comrades, including many here in the Free State, who have littered the pages of the Zondo Commission report, and for whom the Zondo Commission report expects charges to be brought? Does it now mean that if you have the ANC membership card, whether you're Ace Magashule or anybody else, that you just flash this, and it means that you are no longer accountable in the South African system? But there is a link here again, and a wonderful contrast this week that I think should not go without mention. And that is the absolute binary that you now have between the DA and the ANC. Because while the city of Cape Town and the province of the Western Cape, represented by Jordan Hill-Lewis, the mayor of Cape Town, and the premier of the Western Cape, represented by Alan Winde, have spent this last week fervently and firmly on the side of the rule of law and against thuggery and against violence and against the use of arbitrariness to be able to make decisions, the ANC has been on the other side, defending those who've perpetrated violence, walking and turning their back on the own laws that they themselves have passed in the National Assembly.
AfriForum considers the Department of Correctional Services decision to grant Jacob Zuma this special remission of his sentence an insult to justice and the rule of law. It clearly proves one thing, and that there's no more privileged position or protected position in South Africa than being an ANC cadre. That just seems to be the fact of the day. So when it comes to their story, their narrative that Zuma was one of the thousands of inmates that were granted special remission of sentences in an effort to alleviate overcrowding in prisons, this appears to be nothing more than a smokescreen to help a powerful politician escape justice. It's unfortunate, but this seems to be now the state of affairs in the country that we live.
All right, now let's continue with political party reaction. We're now joined by the Freedom Front Plus MP, Heloise Denner. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, as a party, you initially were against the release of former President Jacob Zuma on parole. What's your reaction then following the DCS's latest decision?
Good afternoon, Unati. Yes, you're absolutely right, and we consider the DCS's decision to actually reduce and grant the remission of sentence to former President Jacob Zuma as an completely unacceptable slap in the face of ordinary South Africans and in the rule of law.
Now, some, especially like the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, have also added to the sentiment saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa actually acted in the best interest of the country. Of course, a lot of them citing the July 2021 unrest, some even saying that the former president is old. What's your comment on that?
Well, first of all, with regards to the riots in 2021, I think it shows that we have a weak state. We have a state that allows themselves to be threatened by the possibility of public violence instead of being proactive and working against the possibility of public violence and being able to stop the possibility and public violence if it should occur. So our state is being threatened by thuggery, and it's completely unacceptable. And also, I think it is also an excuse. They're hiding behind the fact that there were riots in July 2021. Yes, there's been a lot of damage done, but they are hiding behind the fact, and I think it's an excuse just to condone the fact that President Jacob Zuma has been released within an hour of being incarcerated.
What do you then think of the remission program as a whole? I mean, a lot of people saying that they are placing him under this condition and under this program with over 9,000 other prisoners just because he is a former president of the country, and that it is not, there's nothing legal about it. It's more a political decision.
I think it is a political decision. I think the remission program is a smokescreen just to enable them to release the former President Jacob Zuma. And I don't think we should put elaborate schemes to get done what they want to get done past the ANC. I mean, state capture was an elaborate scheme as of itself. So yes, I think it is a smokescreen. And I must say, Unati, I've never heard of any administrative decision that has been taken, approved and executed within an hour. Ordinary South Africans have to wait for years on end sometimes for administrative decisions to be taken and executed. But here we have, if your name is Jacob Zuma, if you're an ANC cadre, then apparently the wheels of administration in South Africa roll quite quickly for you.
And what then can we say to the public who are watching this, who know that there are people in power that can actually, stand up for them, especially those that seemingly don't have a voice? I mean, is there anything that you as a Freedom Front Plus will do? We've heard from other political parties saying that they are reviewing this decision and they will then, announce a decision if one is made.
I think this decision should definitely be taken on review. I also think that this is a tactic just to delay his ultimate incarceration. So we'll have to see if anything comes from that. But as I said in the beginning, I think this is a slap in the face of ordinary South Africans, and it just shows that the ANC comes first. For President Cyril Ramaphosa, for anyone in the ANC comes first. South Africa and South Africans do not come first for the ANC, and I think their time should be done now.
Eloise, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Freedom Front Plus MP Eloise Denner there for us.